Hello and welcome to English 2. I'm your online teacher, Miss Bear. I hope that you enjoyed the rest of Malala's speech that you finished last night for homework, and we will be answering some questions about that today. So let's dig right in. This is an Engage New York unit that is part of a larger module that we've been working with, and this is Malala's address to the United Nations Youth Assembly. But the overall idea that we're considering is how authors present details to develop and refine their claims, how they use rhetoric to advance their purposes, and how authors use word choice to help define their claims, to develop those claims, and to advance their purpose. And so at the end of this unit, you are going to take all of the texts that we've been looking at for this unit about human rights, and you're going to delineate the argument of each and analyze how the authors develop a common central claim. And you've been answering questions that should be leading you to this idea of delineating the argument, and we've been using that argument delineation tool, and you'll be able to use that along with all of your notes, because it's important that you use your notes when you write your essay. So let's look at our agenda for the day. We will be accountable for our homework, and guys, you know I love some jigsaw, so we're going to do a jigsaw reading and discussion. We'll also do a silent discussion, and I'll give some protocols for that for the teacher that's in your classroom. Then we will do a quick write, and we will close with a little homework, and I think you're going to be ready for this essay. So let's dig right into our homework accountability. So I want you to turn and talk with a neighbor and discuss the argument delineation tool and trace an argument that Malala makes in the first half of her speech. All right, good job. Now I want you to turn and talk with your other neighbor on the other side of you, and I want you to share your rhetorical impact tracking tool and discuss how Malala uses rhetoric in the second half of her speech. Fantastic job. Now, are we ready for this jigsaw? I think you're ready. Okay, so I want you to work with a partner, and you're going to form these partnerships. Each partner set is going to be assigned a set of paragraphs to analyze, and you are going to reread your assigned paragraphs and complete the jigsaw for those paragraphs. And you know you're going to have to be the expert of those, so really dig in, but you've got this. Good job. Now you get to be the expert, so I want you to form groups of 3, because there were 3 different sets of paragraphs, and I want you to be the expert at your section, and I want you to share and discuss your jigsaw tool with your new group. Remember to take notes, because everybody in that group should have a complete jigsaw tool for each of those paragraphs. Fantastic job. Now, as you are working on that, I hope that your teacher that's in your classroom walked around and gave you some Post-it notes, okay? So I want you to take your Post-it note, and I want you to think about this question. What claims does Malala introduce and develop in paragraphs 1 through 10 of her address to the United Nations Youth Assembly? I want you to answer that question, and I want you to go post it on the chart paper at the front of the classroom that your teacher has put. Now, I want you to go up and I want you to read everything that your classmates wrote, all of those ideas, and I want you to think about what ideas, additional ideas, will expand their thoughts. And you will see on the screen in front of you that you have the Post-it notes, but then you also have students writing. You can draw an arrow to whatever you're going to expand on those ideas with, and you can even draw arrows to other Post-it notes. So it's just expanding on those ideas, and I want you to work on that really quickly. What did you think about that silent discussion? It is one of my favorite things that I do in my classroom. There's something about having a Post-it note and drawing arrows and writing on that chart paper. And I hope that the teacher in your room considered how many people are in your class and maybe had several pieces of chart paper up. That's at the discretion of the teacher that's in your classroom, and depending on the size of the chart paper and how much room you have. There's so many factors that go into that silent conversation or that silent discussion. There is one more thing that I need you to do though. So I want you to go up to that chart paper and I want you to choose one claim that Malala develops in the first half of her speech and record it on your developing claims tool. Your teacher should have handed that to you. And I want you to provide evidence to show where Malala either introduces and or develops the claim in paragraphs 1 through 9. So once you finish that piece, you're going to exchange your tool with another student silently. And then after reading their claim and evidence that they identified, I want you to silently reread that second half of the speech and look for evidence in how Malala develops and refines the claim and record your notes on your partner's tool. You'll see it on that piece of paper. And then I want you to review the evidence and then you can talk about it. But I want you to be completely silent until you finish filling out that developing claims tool. That was fun, but difficult. And I know that. It was difficult for some of you because it's hard not to talk. But not talking is good because you think about a lot of times we'll say the words, but we don't always write them down in a way that the other person can understand. So if you can't talk about it first, you really have to explain it on the paper. And I hope that you guys enjoyed that. We may come back to it another time. We may not. We'll just have to wait and see how things go. Now, if you can get out a piece of notebook paper, it is time for our quick write. So I want you to select a passage from paragraphs 10 through 20, any section. How does the passage develop and refine a claim from the text as a whole? You can use any of your notes and any of your tools to gather evidence for your quick write. Great job. Now it is time for our homework. And guys, the next time that we meet, you're going to write this essay. So I want you to review all three of the texts that we read throughout this unit, along with the notes, annotation, rhetorical tracking tool, your argument delineation tool. And I want you to look at all of that and identify a common claim between all three texts. And you guys know that I'm going to give you an opportunity to work together. The first thing that we meet tomorrow, or the next time that we meet, you're going to have an opportunity to talk about all of the different common claims that you guys came up with, as well as one that the writers of the curriculum came up with. So I don't think that you're coming at this blind. You're going to have opportunities. But if you come up with your own, then you can refine one and you will be able to work with a small group or a partner and kind of look at how can I put all these pieces and parts together for this particular unit. So until next time, happy learning.